summary first. So we stopped at the shloka 29 of 11th chapter, when Narada Muni speaks about Varnashrama to Maharaj Yudhishthira. And in the last class, last week, we heard about the symptoms of the four Varnas, meaning symptoms of Brahmana, starting with Shamadama Tapashocham. Then we heard about symptoms of Kshatriya. Many of these things are already in Bhagavad Gita. Shauryam, Viryam, Dhriti stages, and then symptoms of Vaishya, symptoms of Shudra, which were quite, high symptoms actually for the present day standards. And then we heard about duties of chaste wife, which is also very high standard for modern day standards, to serve husband and everything else. And we are here now about to hear that the result of the chaste wife following all these duties. Okay, I'll just quickly repeat them here because it's still connected to today's verse. So, duties of chaste wife are to have the husband with love and affection, to be favorably disposed toward the husband, to be equally disposed towards husband's relatives and friends, to follow the vows of the husband, to dress nicely for husband, to keep the house clean and pure, to be modest, truthful, attentive, to control her senses, to speak sweet words, should not be greedy, expert in handling household affairs, should be fully conversant with the religious principles. And now in this, we are going to hear what results will the chaste wife get by strictly following these duties. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Narayana Namaskrityam Narayana Chaya Narottam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraya Nashta Presha Bhadrisha Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloki Bhakti Bhagavati Naishtiki Om Yanati Brahmasya Gnanjana Shvaka Chakshu Om Yatamyena Tasmi Shri Gurave Namaha. Okay, I'll start reading. Yapatim Hari Bhavena Bhajet Shir Eva Tatpara Haryatmana Harir Loke Patya Shir Eva Modate. So the woman who engages in the service of her husband, following strictly in the footsteps of the goddess of fortune, surely returns home back to Godhead with her devotee husband and lives very happily in the Vaikuntha planets. Purport. The faithfulness of goddess of fortune is the ideal for a chaste woman. Brahma Samhita 529 says, Lakshmi Sahasrashapta Sambrahma Sevyamanam. In the Vaikuntha planets, Lord Vishnu is worshipped by many, many thousands of goddesses of fortune. And in Goloka Vrindavan, Lord Krishna is worshipped by many, many thousands of gopis, all of whom are goddesses of fortune. A woman should serve her husband as faithfully as the goddess of fortune. A man should be an ideal servant of the Lord, and a woman should be an ideal wife like the goddess of fortune. Then both husband and wife will be so faithful and strong that by acting together they will return home back to Godhead without a doubt. In this regard, Srila Madhvacharya gives this opinion. Harirasmin stitha iti strinam bhartari bhavana shishyanam cha gurau nityam shudranam brahmanadishu brithyanam swamini tatha haribhava udiritha. A woman should think of her husband as the Supreme Lord. Similarly, the disciple should think of the spiritual master as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A Shudra should think of a Brahman as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and a servant should think of his master as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this way, all of them will automatically become devotees of the Lord. In other words, by thinking this way, all of them will become Krishna conscious. And Vishwanath Thakur says she enjoys with her husband who has the Lord as his soul. Okay, just first this thing of thinking about the husband of the Supreme Lord. It doesn't mean that she thinks her husband became a god. And Shudra doesn't mean that Brahmana is a god. And disciple also should not think that spiritual master is God. But they are treated as the Lord. They're treated with the same respect, because for them, for these particular persons, they are representatives of the Supreme Lord. So for woman, husband is a representative of the Lord. For disciple, guru is a representative. For Shudra, Brahmana is a representative. So they are representatives. That's why they're given the same respect. But it's not that one should think they became God. At one point in early 70s, some disciples of Srila Prabhupada, they spread, the rumor, the news that Srila Prabhupada is actually God. And they were preaching like this, even some Swamis. And when Srila Prabhupada heard this, he became very, very angry. And he immediately called them and chastised them very heavily, and basically, threw them out. He didn't throw them out of ISKCON, but he told them just to leave all their, managerial positions and go and preach in a new place if they want to rectify themselves. And these were, few swamis, Brahmananda, Vishnujan, and few others, they were not very philosophically well educated at that time. So they fell for this idea that spiritual master is directly God, that Prabhupada is God. He's a servant of God, but you respect him as God because he's a representative of God. So that's why you give same respect. But you don't think he became a God. No, he is a jiva soul. He's not God. So it requires little intelligence. Let me go back here. So if a woman engages faithfully in the service of her husband with the previously mentioned injunctions in the way how it's described in the previous verses, then she will go back to Godhead with her devotee husband. So means if husband goes back to Godhead, she also goes with him. Although she might not be very spiritually advanced, she might not perform some rigorous spiritual sadhana as the husband, but because she is serving him very faithfully and very obediently, she gets the result of her husband's spiritual progress. Just by automatically serving him, she also shares the result. But of course, if the husband is not a devotee, then the story might be different. Still, it's very dharmic to serve him, and that lady will be, even if the husband, is a rascal, and she's still sticking very strictly to her dharma and serving him. So regardless of the husband's destination, she will attain Swarga, and she will be, promoted to the heavenly planets. But if the husband is devotee, and means advanced devotee who himself goes back to Vaikuntha or spiritual world, then she goes with him. If she wants, of course. I just remember in that story of Tukaram, when Vimana from Vaikuntha came to take him, he was inviting his wife also to come and join him. But somehow she didn't want to come. I don't remember all the details, but just remember that she didn't want to come because she was too much attached to whatever she had. So Tukaram had to go himself. So wives also should have a desire to go back to the spiritual world in order to avail this result of going back with her husband, if the husband is going. If the husband is not, if he is a devotee but not really that advanced that he's going in this life back to Godhead, then I'm not sure. Wife will share some spiritual advancement and might take, birth again and continue. So this is three dharma, strictly, just three dharma, the dharma of the wife. But of course, nowadays, this is very rare to see that women are following, and ladies in ISKCON, we encourage not to wait for husband's spiritual advancements, but to become devotees themselves. So meaning not to be dependent on a husband's spiritual progress, but to try to make progress themselves and to become devotees themselves. Then, regardless of the husband, whether you have it or not have it, whether he's advanced or not advanced, you'll go to next destination according to your spiritual progress. So if in this life you become liberated, regardless of the husband status, you go back to Godhead. If not, you continue next life, whether in a woman's body or man's body, because in this life we are in a man's or women's body, but who knows in which body we are going to be next life, unless we attain spiritual body. And generally, it's not that easy in one life to complete the whole process. It generally takes few lifetimes since since starting to practice bhakti. In this lifetime, it might take a few lifetimes to come to the level of prema, and only on that level actually one is fully liberated, starting with the bhava. Okay, this is. Yeah, lives happily in the Vaikuntha planets. Actually, we don't want to go to Vaikuntha, we want to go to Goloka. Vaikuntha is more easily available and attainable, even by strictly following, straight dharma. But Goloka is much, much more difficult to attain and requires practice of Raganuga Bhakti. Just why this sadhana bhakti can lead you to Vaikuntha, perhaps Ayodhya or Dwaraka, mix of Raganuga and Vaidhi, but Vraja, the Vrindavan, means Raganuga Bhakti. This is what is written in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay, so who would like to?
Prabhu?
Yes, Chatura Mataji.
Yeah, what about some devotee, they follow Sri Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and what will their destination?
Well, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Well, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha Krishna. So if one is fully surrendered to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, yeah, he'll go to Mahaprabhu's eternal Navadvip, but if at the same time he has a desire for pastime, to participate in pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and becomes perfect, he can also at the same time be in Vraj, so I mean in Vrindavan, and also in the Navadvip, in the spiritual world. You can have two expansions, one in the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, another one in pastimes of Lord Radha and Krishna simultaneously. But if one just wants, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and it's not really attracted much to Radha and Krishna, although Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions that we should worship Radha and Krishna. Then I guess only Navadvipa. So he's Radha and Krishna. So if you're completely absorbed in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you go to Mahaprabhu. But if at the same time you worship Radha and Krishna, you also go to Radha and Krishna. So there is no difference because he's Radha Krishna combined.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. And as far as you know, do you know any ISKCON devotees back to Goloka Vrindavan now?
uh, like there is some WhatsApp from the spiritual world that they can message and let us know. You cannot say for sure, I'm sure there are many. I'm sure there are many, but we cannot verify that. So I don't want to speculate who went, who didn't go. I'm sure many went. Many also didn't go. So I will not name anybody, For sure, I'm sure Srila Prabhupada went because he came from there. And Srila Prabhupada, as I remember, when Jananda in 70s, Jananda who started Ratha Yatra,
Yeah.
when he passed away, at first Prabhupada didn't say whether he went or no. He said, depending on his state of consciousness, he went accordingly. If he still had some material desires, then he went to heavenly planets. If he didn't, then maybe he went to the spiritual world. But later, he said he went back to the spiritual world. So at least one person on the basis of authority of Srila Prabhupada, that's Jananda. This is one that I know. And after Prabhupada, I'm sure quite a few also left and went there. But who, I will not say, because we cannot verify that and I never know for sure.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Madam.
According to the Bhagavatam, Dhruva Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, they did not go to Goloka Vrindavan with their sincere. So, how can we expect that?
Well, they didn't go because they were not Krishna bhaktas. They were bhaktas of Vishnu, Narayana. So
Okay.
naturally they went, to
Okay.
Vishnu Loka, to Vaikuntha, because
Right.
their worshipable deities worship there.
Okay.
And the devotees of Lord Nrsimhadev, they go to Nrsimha Loka, which is again Vaikuntha Loka. So depending on who is your worshipable deity, you go to him. So they were not bhaktas of Radha and Krishna.
So if we are worshipping Jagannath, then we go to Jagannath.
Jagannath is Krishna, Balaram. Well, you can say in Dwaraka, you can go to Dwaraka. Dwaraka is attained by a mixture of Vaidhi. Vaidhi worship means worship on the part of regulative principles, plus some addition of raga or spontaneous attraction. This is how you attain Dwaraka. So yeah, hopefully, but again, is this our destination? Most of our acharyas, starting with Rupa and Sanatan, they were pointing to Goloka Vrindavan, where Radha and Krishna are present. And then in Goloka Vrindavan, again, there are different compartments. There is a original Goloka Vrindavan where original Radha and Krishna are present. And there is also part of Goloka where Radha and Krishna are married. So it's a Swakiya pastimes are going on there, which is not original. Originally, one is where Radha and Krishna are eternally unmarried, mean parakya rasa of lovers is there. This is original Goloka Vrindavan. And then that part where they are married, and then if you go down, then Mathura is there, then Dwaraka is there with more rules and regulation, and different compartments in spiritual world according to the desire of the worshippers, and also according to their mode of worship, whether they worship with the on the path of Vaidhi, whether they worship on the path of Raga. It will all depend. So many factors are there where we will go. So even if we are, devotees of Radha and Krishna, we can go to some. If we worship on the path of Vaidhi, we can go to some Vaikuntha where Radha and Krishna are present instead of Lakshmi and Narayan. But everything is very strict and formal. So we need to add at least a little bit of spontaneous attraction to reach Vrindavan, to reach at least Dwaraka. I think this is all discussed by Vishnu Chandra Thakur in one book called Raga Vartma Chandrika. You can find all these details. And I think also Lagu Bhagavatamrita Rupa Goswami mentions different destinations for different type of worshippers. Yeah, sometimes devotees worship so much Lord Nrsimhadev, which is nice, but if he is your main worshipable deity, that means you go to him, to Nrsimhaloka, and then what do you do there? I don't know, you offer prayers, mostly, Vandanam. So we have to be, careful where we put our hearts to. Some other devotees, ISKCON devotees, they're very much, into Lord Ramachandra, and every time, Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram. Okay, but then you go to Sitaram. I mean, it's natural. You cannot go to Goloka if all the time you're chanting Sitaram and thinking about Sitaram. It's natural that you go to Sitaram. So it depending on our goal and our mode of worship.
So all these other Vaikuntha planets are also in the spiritual sky.
Yeah, they're all completely fully spiritual and eternal and eternally blissful. So nothing is wrong there. Just comparatively, Goloka Vrindavan is the highest, in terms of rasa and amount of ananda, amount of bliss and the quality of love that and quality of relationships, because only in a original Goloka Vrindavan, the love, the prema is completely unrestrained by any rules and regulations. Even in Dwaraka, the relationships are more formal, more stiff, queens and in Dwaraka, and Krishna's sons, and Krishna following all the Varnashrama rules and regulations. And Krishna himself, he yearns to go back from Dwaraka to Raj, to Vrindavan, because only there is a full spectrum of unrestrained prema, unlimited prema, only in Raj. So that's why we want to hear descriptions of Vrindavan and the exchanges of prema that are happening in Vrindavan. Yeah, in Bhaktirasamrita Sindh, the Rupa Goswami is comparing these different levels, and he says they're all, Vaikunthas and all abodes of the Lord, they are eternally perfect, and devotees, they are also perfect. But if we impartially, compare them, we find that the love of the residents of Vrindavan, Rajvasis, is the highest in quality and the quantity. So if we want that love, naturally we will follow in the footsteps of Rajvasis. But if we want to follow in the footstep of Hanuman or Prahlad Maharaj, we can also do that. and we will attain the result accordingly. So it's up to us to choose where we want to go and what will be the mode of our worship. Okay,
Prabhu,
yeah.
here in our at our home, shall we worship Lord Narasimha?
I mean, you can have it. Why not? I mean, not the Ugra Nrsimhadev, but Shanta Nrsimha you can have. But you should also have some other deity like Gornitai or Jagambala Subhadra. Only Lord Nrsimhadev. Yeah, I'm not sure. You can have it, but it's good to have Gornitai. I think is the best. Or Jagannabal Subhadra or Radha and Krishna. And then besides them, Lord Nrsimhadev.
Yeah.
Did
We often imitate the deities in Mayapur temple or Vrindavan temple, Gauranitai, Radha Shamashunda, and then Lord Nrsimha.
yeah, but you see who are the main deities in Mayapur, Radha Madhava, Ashtasakis, this is the main deities. And then we have Pancha Tattva, there also you can say the main, but then Lord Nrsimhadev is also there. But Radha Madhava is kind of the main original deities of Mayapur. And then in Vrindavan, Krishna Balaram are the main deities. And then on the side altars, Agornita and Radha Shima Sundar. So Krishna Balaram in Vrindavan. So yeah, you can imitate or whatever you feel attracted to. And there is this Simhachalam, Germany, farm in Germany. It was originally, made by Harikesh in 80s, and the deity of Lord Nrsimhadev was installed there. But they also had Radha and Krishna that later moved out to another place in Germany, Abertower. So only Lord Nrsimhadev was left as the deity there. And yeah, I don't know what these devotees did, but later I heard they also got some Gornitais because if the whole temple is centered only around Lord Nrsimhadev, everybody will become Nrsimha Bhaktas only. But as the Gaudiyas, we are followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is showing the path of worship of Radha and Krishna. So we worship as our main deities, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Radha Krishna. This is what you see in all Gaudiya mats. If you go, you'll see Radha and Krishna and Gauranga next to Krishna with the one hand raised. Like in original Chaitanya mat, you see Gandharvika Giridhari and Mahaprabhu on the altar. This is the standard. But Prabhupada introduced Gaur-Nitai, Chaitanya Nitai, as a special thing for his Western preaching because he thought only Nitai, who is the most merciful, can deliver the mlechas when he was preaching in the West in 70s. So in any case, we should worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and then Radha and Krishna.
Prabhu,
Yes.
just now you say Mayapur, Krishna, Radha, Madhava, but
Radha
not
Madhava.
Radha Shamashunda. So what's the difference?
Radha Shima Sundara deities in Vrindavan and Radha Madhava Ashtasakisa deities in Mayapur.
Yeah, is there any difference?
No, just Krishna has many names, so somehow Prabhupada named the deities in Mayapur Radha Madhava and those in Vrindavan Radha Shima Sundar. But Madhava and Shima Sundar, they're same Krishna, same
Okay.
Krishna in Vrindavan. So there is no difference.
Okay. Yeah, just now you mentioned the book. Do you have the electronic books?
Which book?
You mean the Vishwanatha Chakra
That
Thakur's.
one, Ragavartma Chandrika, yeah, I will look if I have, I'll put it there in the group if you.
Okay, that's very good. Thank you.
Okay, let us continue. Subhadra Mataji, would you like to read?
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you.
वृत्तिः शङ्करजातीनां तत्तत्कुलकृता भवेत् अचौराणां पापानाम् अन्त्यजा जानते वसायिनाम्. Among the mixed classes known as Shankara, those who are not thieves are known as Antevasai or Chandals, dog eaters, and they also have their hereditary customs. The four principal divisions of society, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra, have been defined. And now there is a description of the Antyaja, the mixed classes. Among the mixed classes, there are two divisions, Pratilomaja and Anilomaja. If a woman of a high caste married a man of a lower caste, their union is called Pratilom. If a woman of a low caste, however, marries a man of a higher caste, their union is called Anilom. The members of such dynasties have their traditional duties as barbers, washermen, and so on. Among the Antyajas, those who are still somewhat pure in that they do not steal and are not addicted to meat eating, drinking, illicit sex, and gambling are called Antavashai. Among people of the lower classes, intermarriage and the drinking of wine are allowed, for these people do not recognize such conduct as sinful among themselves. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. The occupations of those who marry a woman of higher or lower varna are described. They take the occupation of their family. Thus, those from barber families become barbers, and those from washerman families become washermen. This person should not come from sinful families such as those addicted to drinking and illicit sex. Thievery is also forbidden. These occupations, without involving theft, are considered to have no sin attached to them. Some examples are given of persons married women of higher caste. Rajakas, cha, makaras, cha, nato, varada, eva, cha, Kaivartam Edabhilas Saptaite Anchyaja Smritaha. The washerman, leader, dealer, actor, cane splitter, fisherman, the Meda, and the mountain tribal are known as Antyaja. Angevashai means Chandal and others. Yeah, here they are explaining the difference between the intercaste marriage, like Brahman marries a lady in a lower caste, it's called pratilom, and if it married in higher caste, it is called anilomaj. These people actually they are not really devotees because they are stealing and have illicit sex, etc. But there are also some who have some vice activities. Maybe they are not having illicit sex and eating meat, and they give some examples of that, who they are. This is what I can say in short.
Yes, thank you. So this is quite some technical descriptions.
Yeah.
The mixed classes in Vedic society. I don't think today this is very much, applicable. Barbers, these ones, that ones, these occupations, leather dealer, I don't know, washerman. I don't know how many nowadays are washermen, and there are washing machines everywhere. Here in Mayapur, we had behind Goshala some devotees who are doing the washing for guest houses. I don't know if they're still doing it. But with the modern amenities like washing machines, the whole occupation becomes unnecessary. Barbers are still there, but I don't think they know from which families and which caste they come. It's Kali Yuga, so you cannot really much rely now on this. But it's good as description to know how it all worked in the past, when varnas and ashramas were still intact, and everybody knew where is he coming from which family, from which line, which varna, what is his occupation. So varna sankara. So those who are thieves, this is the lowest. They're addicted to stealing. But if they're not, then they're considered better. So chandalas are those who are better, antavasai or chandalas. You think, oh, the chandalas, these are the lowest, but actually they are even lower than the chandalas, and those who are thieves. Chandalas, dog eaters, they're maybe not that bad in comparison to those who are lower. All right, let's continue, Shanti Rupa Maharaji. Shanti Rupa Maharaji, you're there? Okay, I think she doesn't hear us. Chatura Mataji, can you read maybe?
Yeah. Verse 20, verse 31. Praya swapava vihito vinam thamo yuge Veda jitpi smrito rajan paitya cheha chasamakrit. Translation: My dear king, Brahmanas welcome servant. My dear king, Brahmanas welcome person in Vedic knowledge have given their verdict that in every age yuga, the conduct of different sections of people according to their material modes of nature is auspicious both in this life and after death. Purport: in Bhagavad Gita 3.35 it is said, Shreyam Swatamo Viguna Parantama Swanustita. It is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though they may be faulty, than another's duties. The Antyajas, the men of lower classes, are accustomed to stealing, drinking, and illicit sex, but that is not considered sinful. For example, if a tiger kills a man, this is not sinful. But if a man kills another man, this is considered sinful, and the killer is hanged. What is a daily affair among the animals is a sinful act in human society. Thus, according to the symptoms of higher and lower sections of society, there are different varieties of occupational duties. According to the experts in Vedic knowledge, these duties are prescribed in terms of the age concerned. Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur. It is better to perform one's own occupation, though inferior, than the occupation of a superior varna. That is the conclusion of the knowers of the Veda. It is the cause of happiness. Samakrit. The Lord says, Shreyan Svatamo Vikuna Parantama Sva Nustikta Svatame Nitanam Shreya Paratamo Payavaha. It is better to perform one's own duties, even if in a faulty way, than to perform others' duties, albeit very well. Destruction in the cause, one's duties is beneficial. Performing others' duties is full of danger. Bhagavad Gita 3.35. This is a general principle, prayam, because giving up bad conduct found in the lower groups does not bring unhappiness. So this verse talks something about how different varnas should act according to the Vedic knowledge. The brahmanas should be very skillful in studying Vedic knowledge, and also they should teach the different sections of people how to act according to their material natures. And also there is a warning that in Bhagavad Gita by the law that one should act according to one's varna, better not to perform the duties of other varnas. That means we should do what one's nature characteristic, not based on one's varna. So one should not perform duties that one should not perform other people's duties. Even though if you perform your duties in a faulty way, that's better than to perform another's duties. Okay.
Thank you. Nicely summarized. Yeah, the point of sticking to your own duties has two aspects. First aspect is social aspect. For example, if I'm a Shudra and I all of a sudden want to perform duties of a Brahmana and teach, what will I teach? Because I don't know anything, so it will cause social disturbance. It will be cheating. Shudra teaching something. He will teach wrong things, or he wants to be a kshatriya, but he doesn't have a kshatriya skills and kshatriya nature. He doesn't know how to rule, so it will be again a social disturbance. And for himself also, it will not be good because he's doing something that is not in accordance to his nature. So his mind will be not peaceful. Generally, if you perform activities that are suiting your nature, mind becomes naturally peaceful and satisfied. So to perform others' duties means duties that are not in accordance to your nature is harmful both to yourself and also it's causing social disturbance. That's why it's not advised. But nowadays, nobody knows which Varna he is. Nobody knows what his nature is. So everybody is doing whatever, work they can find, and whatever is available. So that's why there is a lot of chaos. And many people, they are very much unhappy doing things that they don't want to do, but they have no choice because this is the job they got and they have to work in order to maintain their family. So they're unhappy and they're just waiting when will they go to pension to do things that they like. But somehow, if somebody is lucky that he chooses something that is really according to his nature, that he has an opportunity to choose to do something and to live from that occupation, then he's lucky. Somebody's artist has artistic nature, and then somehow he can through art earn enough to be able to live, which might be difficult unless somebody is first class artist that he can sell his paintings, or he's a writer and then he can publish and sell books and live from that. If not, he has to go to the factory and do some other Ugra Karma job in order to maintain himself. And that will not make him happy. It will be just trouble. Okay, Shantarupa Mataji, are you now there?
Yes, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Okay. Vritya swabhava kritaya vartamana swakarma krit hitva swabhava jam karma shanay nirgunatam yayat. If one acts in his profession according to his position in the modes of nature and gradually gives up these activities, he attains the Nishkama stage. Purport. If one gradually gives up his hereditary customs and duties and tries to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his natural position, he is gradually able to become free from these activities, and he attains the stage of Nishkam, freedom from material desires. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, he gradually gives up his nature after many births. It is said, Swadharma Nishtha Shatas Janma Bhi Uman Virinchatam Eti. One who strictly follows the principles of Varnashrama Dharma for at least 100 births will attain the post of Lord Brahma. So we should we should act according to our position and the modes of nature, in the modes of nature, and gradually give up the activities to attain the Nishkama stage. So that is referring to the hereditary customs to give up the hereditary custom and try to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is devotional service, in his natural position. Then he can become free from the actions or from these activities or the hereditary activities, and he attains the stage of Nishkam, which is freedom from material desires.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so in this verse, gradual process.
Yes, as
Elevation.
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, it takes hundreds of births to become really free.
And yeah, this is what in Madhvacharya's line they advocate, that it's very gradual process through Varnashrama, and you are gradually elevated, and this process takes many lifetimes, following strictly your Varna and Ashrama duty in this birth, then you are promoting next birth. If you're Shudra now, maybe, and you are perfect Shudra, which is rare, then in next life you might be promoted to be Vaishya and so on. it takes a long time to make advancement through this process, and this is not really our process that we want to follow. Otherwise, it might take 100 births. So we want process of direct devotional service, but still for those who are not able somehow, who are not fortunate enough to take directly to devotional service, to bhakti, the process is given to strictly follow the Varnashrama rules and regulations. So even if they are less intelligent, if they strictly follow, they will be gradually elevated. And yeah, and one day they will come to the Nishkama stage. But this Nishkama stage is also not the goal. It's a stage where one is free from material desires, but then from that stage, actually, he can start performing pure devotional service and develop desire to serve Krishna. So it's a just description of one indirect process that worked in previous ages for some people, but devotional service worked even in previous ages, and it works even now when this process does not really work because there is no varnashrama, there is no social structure to support this process. So definitely today you cannot make any advancement using this process because there is no varnashrama. So how can you perfectly perform your varnashrama duties? It could be very difficult, and so that's why in this age of Kali, there is no other way but the chanting of Maha Mantra. Everything else that worked previously is not available anymore. All right, so okay, Dhanashri Mother she says she will just listen. So I'll read again. Upayamanam muhukshetram swayam nirviyatham yat naglapate punah sutyai Uptam bijam chanashyati evam kamashayam chitam kamanam atisevaya virajyeta yatha rajan agnivat kama bindubi. Translation, my dear king, if an agricultural field is cultivated again and again, the power of its production decreases, and whatever seeds are sown there are lost. Just as drops of ghee on a fire never extinguish the fire, but a flood of ghee will. Similarly, overindulgence in lust desires mitigates such desires entirely. Just regarding this analogy, for example, if you have one crop like rice, and year after year you plant the rice in the same field again and again, you will see that after some years the rice production will decrease and more. So that's why it's advised, to alternate different crops. So one year you grow rice, another year you grow wheat, then corn, and like this, in order to that field is not exhausted, because one type of crop is using certain types of minerals, and it in this way is depleting the earth. But if you alternate, then this is not happening. Okay, let us read the purport. If one continuously sprinkles drops of ghee on a fire, the fire will not be extinguished. But if one suddenly puts a lump of ghee on a fire, the fire may possibly be extinguished entirely. Similarly, those who are too sinful and have thus been born in the lower classes, allowed to enjoy sinful activities fully, for thus there is a chance that these activities will become detestable to them, and they will get the opportunity to be purified. So basically, those who are in the lower classes, they're allowed to indulge with the hope that they'll get disgusted so much that they will give it up eventually, which again might take a long time. Vision Jagri Thakur, because it is impossible for a person with excessive material desires to give up desires by the rules of the Vedas. Rather than forbid all enjoyment, one is allowed to enjoy with an honest heart, and detachment will take place eventually. Examples are Hayati and Saubari. So what was this Maharaj Hayati? If you remember, he exchanged, even in when he got old, he already had grown up sons, but still he wanted to enjoy with one of his wives. So he begged one of his sons for young age in exchange for his old age. And four of them, I think, they refused him. Only Puru he accepted to give him his young age that he can enjoy. So he continued enjoying for many hundreds of years, if not thousands. And then eventually he really got tired from this sexual and other sort of enjoyment. He really got tired and disgusted and then gave up. And then at that point he became detached, and he returned his young age to his son and took back the old age, and then became a devotee. And Sobari, if you remember, he was meditating under the water, and then he saw some fish, and then he got attracted to sexual affairs through fish, so went out of the water, and then he married many girls and enjoyed with them for a long time. And then at one point, after all this long enjoyment, he also got tired and disgusted and realized that he fell from yoga because he was a yogi. So he gave up again everything. So after much cultivation, sometimes the field is not suitable for germinating seeds anymore. Sometimes the seeds which are planted are destroyed by the acidic soil. The heart in which desire resides in abundance, karma ashraya, as various impressions gradually becomes detached. Just a blazing fire is not reduced by adding drops of ghee, but is extinguished by pouring a huge quantity of ghee on it. So indulging in huge amount of enjoyment extinguishes the desire. So if you enjoy just a little bit here and there, desire will stay. But if you really indulge heavily, you might extinguish the desire. You might get disgusted so much. You also might get sick and everything else. But of course, it's not a guaranteed process, and it's not really a recommended process because it takes a long time, and we live very short lives. So this process, again worked when people lived thousands of years. Like Margiati, he lived 10,000 of years. So he could enjoy for thousands of years and then eventually get disgusted. And we live, 70, 80 years. And out of that, maybe 50 years we are in full strength, or 40. So this is not enough time for this process of overindulging in a sense gratification, because you might not get disgusted yet for such a short time. It's just a few years, basically. So again, this process is not really recommended, although it might work in certain areas for some people. Yeah. So cultivate only one crop, so means you indulge, and eventually, the field is completely deprived of all that is there, meaning you are deprived of all the desires because of too much enjoyment. Yeah, one can try. I mean, if he has a strong material desires and there's no way that he can give them up, so he can try, satisfying them to full extent and see how long it will take after he is disgusted. If he has enough good karma for that and enough lifespan for that and enough youth, because enjoyment requires strong, youthful body. In old age, nobody really can enjoy. So if you can stay young for a long time and indulge, it might work. Otherwise, not really. All right, so let's read a little more. Subhadra Maharaj, you would like to continue?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yasya ya lakshanam proktam pumso vam vipyavan jakam yat anyatrapi drishyeta tat tena eva vinirjis disit. If one shows the symptoms of being a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Sudra, as described above, even if he has appeared in a different class, he should be accepted according to those symptoms of classification. Purport. Herein it is clearly stated by Narad Muni that one should not be accepted as a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Sudra according to birth. For although this is going on now, it is not accepted by the Shastras. It's as stated in Bhagavad Gita 4:13, Chatur Varniyam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasya. Thus, the four divisions of society, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra, are to be ascertained according to qualities and activities. If one was born in a Brahman family and has acquired the Brahminical qualifications, he is to be accepted as a Brahman. Otherwise, he should be considered a Brahman Bandhu. Similarly, if a Sudra acquired the qualities of a Brahman, although he was born in a Sudra family, he is not a Sudra. Because he has developed the qualities of a Brahman, he should further be accepted as a Brahman. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant to develop these Brahminical qualities, regardless of the community in which one was born. If one develops the qualities of a Brahman, he should be accepted as a Brahman, and he then may be offered the order of sannyas. Unless one is qualified in terms of the Brahminical symptoms, one can't take sannyas. In designating a person, a Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, birth is not the essential symptom. This understanding is very important. Herein, Narad Muni distinctly says that one may be accepted according to the caste of his birth if he has the corresponding qualifications, but otherwise he should not. One who has attained the qualifications of a Brahman, regardless of where he was born, should be accepted as a Brahmin. Similarly, if one has developed the qualities of a Shudra or a Chandal, regardless of where he was born, he should be accepted in terms of those symptoms. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. However, if a man designated by a particular Varna shows the qualities of another Varna, he should be classified according to that other Varna and should be called by the name, by that name, such as Brahman. Brahman? What is meant by showing qualities? Is showing general qualities like control of the sense and mind, or the Brahman for instance, for the Brahmins, for instance, not particular actions like performing sandhya rites. This means that he should be given the respect like a Brahman. One should not say performing another's dharma is dangerous, since attaining qualities like control of the senses and mind is not other's dharma. Thus end the commentary of the 11th chapter of the 7th canto of the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, for the pleasure of the devotees in accordance with the previous acharyas. So thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of 7th canto, 11th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Perfect Society for Social Classes. So in this verse, it says that one is not a born Brahman, Kshatriya, or Vaishya, whatever. Everyone who is born is like a Sudra, and according to the qualifications they develop, they are that a Brahman, Kshatriya, or Sudra, or Vaishya. So it's not like by birth, like previous ages, it was like everyone was by birth, but it's here in this Kali Yuga, I think, is it right, Prabhu, that in this Kali Yuga or other yugs also was like this? But now it's like you are not by birth Brahman, Kshatriya, or what?
Yeah, the birth nowadays doesn't mean much. Whether you're born in Brahmana family, there is a great possibility that you don't have a Brahminical nature. But Brahmanas of this age, they claimed that they're Brahmanism by birth. They were stressing, I'm a Brahman just because I'm born in Brahmana family. But many of them, they didn't have Brahminical qualities. That's why they were just Dvija Bandhus, not Brahma Bandhus, not real Brahmanas, just by birth. In previous ages, mostly, the qualities were matching the birth. So that's why it was okay. Because everything was intact, the whole society, Varnashrama was intact. So mostly those who were born in Brahmana families, they were Brahmanas, but not always, even in previous ages. Sometimes, somebody would be born in a certain family and he would show the other signs, the symptoms of another Varna, and then he would be accepted if after proper observation, he would be accepted as different Varna. For example, who was it? The Ashwathama, son of Dronacharya. He was born what? In which Brahmana family? Dronacharya was a Brahmana. And he had the symptoms of a Brahmana. But Ashwathama, he did not have the symptoms of a Brahmana. That's why he was Dvija Bandhu. He was just a friend of a Brahmana. He was not accepted as a Brahmana by Krishna and by the Pandavas. They pointed him as Dvija Bandhu. He's not proper Brahmana because he did heinous acts of killing children. No real Brahmana would do this. So that's why it was easy to say that this person, although born in Brahmana family, he's not a Brahmana. And nowadays, if you see, those who were born in Brahmana family, some pandas, and they just want donations and money, how they're Brahmanas? They think they're Brahmanas, and they think the money should be given to them because they're Brahmanas. But in reality, they have no Brahminical qualities. So that's why it became all cheating. That's why Srila Bhaktivinoda Saraswati Thakur, he wrote all that book, Brahman and Vaishnava, and he fought heavily with the Smarta Brahmanas to show that one's position should not be determined by birth. That birth, especially in this age, is not showing anything. Yes, like this. Anything?
Yeah.
You wanted to say something more?
Yeah, here I am now in the West, and then yes, then you see like people calling them Brahmins or Pandits, and they are eating meat and doing pujas. And
Which
yeah,
country you are in now?
I'm in Netherlands, Holland.
Netherlands. So there are many Indians there who are still Brahmins.
Yes, yes, and then they are doing some puja, and then after that, you see that they are eating meat or drinking alcohol or
Yeah.
smoking.
Very funny Brahmanas.
Yes,
Yeah, that's cheating. It's cheating. Just, Brahminical, claiming Brahminical status on the basis of birth.
Mm.
Maybe his grandfather or grand-grandfather was a Brahmana, but he's definitely not. He's just degraded Vijay Bandhu.
Yes, still they are calling themselves Brahmins, and
Yeah.
they are telling Hare Krishnas are not Brahmins. They are just really. I had a discussion, but then I stopped because they were not understanding. So I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
quit.
it's pointless to discuss with them because they don't
Yeah,
even establish their status. Even pandas in a Jagannath Puri temple,
yeah.
they think the birth is the main thing. That's why they accept only Brahmana by birth. And this is exactly what Bhakti Thakur was fighting against. But still, it's found quite a lot in India. But yes, some people are aware, especially those who come in Srila Prabhupada's line. We are aware that the birth is not determining one's varna, but the qualities. And the Bhagavatam says very clearly here. I mean, just this sloka is the proof. Yasya yal lakshanam protam. Lakshana means symptoms. Uh, so it should be, the sloka is very clear. You can, if you argue with somebody, you just quote this verse. If one saw symptoms, but he appeared in another class, he should be accepted according to the symptoms, not according to the birth. So this is the supreme proof. If they accept Bhagavatam as a
Yeah.
Shastra, then they will have to accept it. If they don't accept Bhagavatam, then nothing to talk with them.
No. So
Let
I
them
was
do.
thinking when I was reading this, I was thinking this is good to argue with them.
Yeah, it's
Maybe.
good verse to
Yeah.
memorize.
Yes.
Okay, we just will read 6:30. I have to leave because I have a meeting. So before that, maybe just one more. What is this? Chatura Mataji, you like to? Oh, this chapter summary. How big? Oh, it's quite big. So should we read the chapter summary, Chatura Mataji?
Yeah.
Hmm.
The next chapter, yeah?
Yeah, this is the chapter 12. Yeah, I think it's the last one.
Yeah, okay. Read the summary, yeah?
Yeah, please.
Chapter 12, The Perfect Society for Spiritual Classes. This chapter particularly describes the brahmachari and the person in the vanaprastha stage, and it also gives a general description of the four ashramas: brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasa. In the previous chapter, the great saint Narada Muni has described the Vana institution of society, and now in this chapter, he will describe the stages of spiritual advancement in the four ashramas, which are known as Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa. The brahmachari should live under the care of the true spiritual master, giving him sincere respect and obeisances, acting as his menial servant and always carrying out his order. The brahmachari should engage himself in spiritual activities and study the Vedic literature under the direction of the spiritual master. According to the brahmachari system, he should dress with the belt, deer skin, and matted hair, and should wear a danda, water pot, and sacred thread. He should collect alms, daily in the morning and in the evening, whatever alms he has collected, he should offer to the spiritual master. The brahmachari should accept prasad upon the order of the spiritual master. And if the spiritual master sometimes forgets to order the disciple to eat, the disciple should not take prasad on his own initiative. Rather, he should fast. The brahmachari should be trained to be satisfied with eating what is absolutely necessary. He should be very expert in executing responsibilities. He should be faithful, and he should control his senses and try to avoid the association of women as far as possible. A brahmachari should very strictly abstain from living with women and should not meet with grihastas and those too addicted to women. Nor should a brahmachari speak in a lonely place with a woman. After completing one's education as a brahmachari in this way, one should give dashina, an offering of gratitude to one's guru, and then one may leave for home and accept the next asrama, the grihastha asrama, or else one may continue in the brahmacharya asrama without adulteration. The duties for the grihastha asrama and brahmachari asrama, as well as the duties for sannyasis, are prescribed in the sastras. A grihastha is not meant to enjoy sex life without restriction. Indeed, the whole purpose of Vedic life is to become free from sexual indulgence. All the asramas are recognized for spiritual progress. And therefore, although the grihastha asrama gives a kind of license for sex life for a certain time, it does not allow unrestricted sex life. Therefore, in grihastha life also there is no illicit sex. A grihastha should not accept a woman for sexual enjoyment. Wasting semen is also illicit sex. After the grihastha asrama is another asrama known as vanaprastha, which is midway between grihastha and sannyasa. A person in the vanaprastha order is restricted in eating food grains and forbidden to eat fruits that have no ripen on the chi, nor should he cook food with fire. Although he is allowed to eat charu, grains that have been offered in a sacrificial fire, he may also eat fruits and grains that have grown naturally. Living in a thatched cottage, the vanaprastha should endure all kinds of heat and cold. He should not cut his nails or hair, and he should give up cleaning his body and teeth. He should wear cheap bark, accept a danda, and practice life in the forest, taking a vow to live there for 12 years, 8 years, 4 years, 2 years, or at least 1 year. At last, when because of old age, he can no longer perform the activities of a vanaprastha, he should gradually stop everything and in this way give up his body.
Thank you. So this is very elaborate description of the whole chapter. So yeah, maybe You can just read one verse and then finish it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you wanna read this one verse?
you mean me?
Yeah, you can read it.
Oh, verse 1. Shri Narada Uvacha Brahmachari Guru Kure Vasantanto Guru Hitam Acharan Dasavan Nicho Guru Sujita Sohita. Translation: Narada Muni said, a student should practice completely controlling his senses. He should be submissive and should have an attitude of firm friendship for the spiritual master. With a great vow, the brahmachari should live at the Gurukula only for the benefit of the Guru. Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur. In the 12th chapter, the normal duties of the asramas for person in a vana and the rules for giving up the body for the vanaprastha are described. The verb of the sentence upasita, he should worship, is in the next verse.
Yes, so Gurukula and Brahmacharya living in Gurukula is described. So nowadays we have gurus, but we don't really have Gurukulas, disciples that don't really go and live with the guru. And these couple of Gurukulas that we had in ISKCON, including one in the Mayapur, they were completely, disaster. Children living there, and then there were child abuse cases, and guru turned to be abuser. So that's why I don't think in the present modern age Gurukula can really be what is it supposed to be. In India, they have some, Vedic Gurukulas run by certain organizations. I don't know how good they are, but they try to teach some traditional Vedic knowledge there. Somehow our history in ISKCON didn't show that we were enough mature for this type of teaching and taking care of children or students. Okay, we will stop here because I have to go now, and I'll see you next week. I think the Singha Chaturdashi is when on Sunday.
Yes, Prabhu, Sunday.
Yes,
Sunday.
it's on Sunday.
Okay, so I guess next Wednesday will be fine for class again. So thank you all. Good night. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna.
Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.